Excellent. Welcome back, everybody. I think we've had our sort of 5-minute stretching our legs and going to get some tea or coffee as we desire. I would actually now like to move into the next session, which is focusing a little bit more on sort of the progress and achievements against the Yokohama Action Guidance. And I've seen there are a few questions actually in the chat as well that have come forward since during the break. I think people have had time to sort of digest the presentation that was done by Dr. Takamura. And we will be sharing the presentation. And I think there was a question as well, maybe more to our sister agency UNEP, who is talking about why Africa seems to be worst off when it comes to waste management as compared to other continents. And why is it always the case, despite the many interventions and programs geared towards ensuring sustainable waste management in most municipal, urban and peri-urban communities in African countries? I think this is probably a question that we can take forward in the whole assembly, actually. And this is maybe food for thought and food for discussion as we move forward. With that, I would like to now open the floor to my colleague now, Takauchi, who will take us through the progress and achievements of the ACCP activities in 2020 and 2022. So now the floor is yours. As now is unmuting herself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. It's a bit of an echo, but we can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. So let me. How is this? Can you hear me well?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you. No echo.
Okay, great. I'm looking at this and I'm also looking at this. I don't know which way is better, but
double now.
I hope that everybody can see my presentation now. Yes?
I can see it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Nao Takeuchi. I'm a waste management specialist working for Urban Basic Services section in UN Habitat. I'm also leading the African Clean Cities Platform Secretariat. And then, as we mentioned in the beginning, as Cecilia mentioned, that we have done a lot of activities between 2020 to 2022 since the Yokohama Action Guidance decided to move the secretariat function to UN Habitat. So I would like to give you a little bit of feedback on an update with you about the progress and achievement of ACCP activities from 2020 to 2022. So just before going into the more substantive contents, I would like to first set the scene in a way to through the looking at the global statistics at the moment. At the moment, 2 billion people is without access to having a regular waste collection service. 3 billion people is without access to controlled waste disposal facilities. And in business, if we go business as usual, 80 to 10% of global GHG emissions are expected to be coming from open dump sites by 2025. And then when you look at the more the situation in Africa, the sub-Saharan Africa is the fastest growing region. As you might know, that the urbanization rate in Africa is 3.5%, highest in the world. And then we are expecting to nearly triple the waste amount by 2050. as well. So we also have to really think about the preparedness for this upcoming challenge for Africa. So the ACCP is a knowledge sharing and a good practice sharing platform, and then it was started as a small side event during the Tokyo International Conference on African Development 6 held in Nairobi back in 2016. And at that time, we organized a small side event as well as a site visit to the Kiambu County, where we developed semi-aerobic landfill site. And that was participated by 9 African countries. However, we received lots of requests from the participants asking for this kind of opportunities more regularly to make it platform. So in 2017, so Maputo meeting was held to establish African Clean Cities platform in 2017. At the time, the meeting was attended by 150 participants from 24 African countries, and then it was within 1 year since the TICAD, and then you really can see that the challenges felt by African countries and cities reflected to this number of the people who's attending this. And then after that, in 2018, the first general meeting of African Clean Cities platform was held in Rabat. The participants increased to 220 people from 32 African countries. And then in 2019, we also had a second general meeting of ACCP in Yokohama in conjunction with the TICAD 7, which was participated by 450 people from 38 countries, adopting Yokohama Action Guidance. And this Yokohama Action Guidance really dictated our activities for the past 3 years. So these are the 11 priority action areas laid out in the Yokohama Action Guidance adopted in 2019. So I would like to go one by one first. Expanding the ACCP participation. 2, strengthen ACCP Secretariat function. 3, ACCP Assembly Organization, which is now happening here today. And then capacity building and co-creation of the knowledge. Continuous collection of the basic data. Monitoring progress towards achieving the SDGs, improving the waste collection and transportation system in African cities, enhancing safety at the landfill sites, promoting 3R and proper waste treatments, encourage awareness raising activities, and creating impact on the ground. And then the Yokohama Action Guidance also stated that the Secretariat function to be really moved and then transferred to UN Habitat. And then the first thing that we did is of that action. And then under that governance system, we have been working towards those 11 priority action areas. So first of all, I would like to show you this number increased. So for this first priority action area, expanding the ACCP participation. So now at the time of the Yokohama Action Guidance was adopted, the number of cities from cities and countries who are a member of ACCP were 42 cities from 39 countries. It is increased to 108 cities from 42 countries. So membership, especially in terms of the number of the cities, has been doubled. And then together with the Secretariat function transfer to the UN Habitat, we really try to strengthen the Secretariat function, and we established the governance structure through management and operational guideline. And then this is the new governance structure that we have at the moment in the ACCP. So as you can see, that the ACCP Assembly and the steering committee, which is comprised of Ministry of Environment, Yokohama City, JICA, UNEP, and UN Habitat, will determine the activities to be implemented by the ACCP Secretariat, which is hosted by UN Habitat. And we also established this mechanism called associate members, who are the bilateral or multilateral donors, regional institutions in Africa's international institutions, governmental, non-governmental organizations, basically donor communities. and then so that we can co-create a tangible project for the ACCP member cities and countries. It's kind of a mechanism to really mobilize funding and financial support for the solid waste management in ACCP member countries and cities. So those mechanisms will provide support ACCP members to achieve waste SDGs. What we would really like to achieve is really making impacts on the ground through the collaboration between different partners and the co-creation of the projects. Also, we are managing to strengthen the ACCP Knowledge Hub functions by establishing a new website. So if you go to this unhabitat.org/African Clean Cities platform, you really can see the new new website here, and then it also has got a good connection with the other global initiative called Waste by Cities, and it has a knowledge hub function very nicely laid out in this website. And then as you can see that now you are joining this third ACCP assembly as being organized like this, and then this is a part of official TICAD 8-side events. And then in terms of 4, capacity building and co-creation and knowledge, JICA continues to provide trainings for ACCP members despite of the challenges imposed by the COVID-19. There's still the online training was provided for a number of ACCP members. And training program development at Tunis International Center of Environmental Technologies, Tunisia, is really happening. And in this we will going to have a presentation on this on Thursday, on Wednesday, I think. Yeah, and we also updated the ACCP website and the Knowledge Hub function strengthened through the linking with Waste-Wise Cities Academy. I would like to show you just a little bit quickly about how it's looking like at the moment. Can you see my screen? Are you seeing my screen? No. Stop. Let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah. Oh, here. Can you see my screen now? Yes. Great. So at the moment, if you go to unhabitat.org African Clean Cities platform, this is the website, and then when you go to, for example, resources, and then there's a link called Waste-Wise Academy, and this has got the Knowledge Hub functions, and as you can see that you can find the online courses, toolkits and guides, training and webinars, and good practices. We've been keep building the resources here, but for example, you can go to the online courses. We have an online course, we developed an online course called Data to Tangible Impact, Achieving Waste SDGs by 2030, and then you can take, and this is whole free. This takes about 12 weeks, 12 hours. For your time to really learn how to use the SDG 11.6.1, and the different online courses are also listed up here. Toolkits and guides, also you can find it on this website. Different toolkits and this different we also have a different languages. Most importantly, I'm going to talk about this later, the Waste by Cities tool and so on, and trainings and webinars opportunities are always put it in here. The different webinar series, how to continue waste management services during the COVID-19 pandemic, organic waste treatments in cities of Global South, and so waste technology deep dives. So all these are very useful resources for any of the waste management practitioners, and we also have a good practices. you really can find good practices working in the, especially in the African context. We have a lots of good practices here. So these are one of those things that we have developed in the last years as well. Yeah. And newsletters, Africa. We also organize Africa Waste Webinar Series. Some of the people here might know, but the older recordings are available at NUA campus here. You can go to this website, then you can find all these recordings. And we are also started collaborating with the GIZ COMSA, Covenant of Mayor of Sub-Saharan Africa, to provide the trainings, and we did provided the trainings in Kenya and in Burkina Faso this year as well. And in terms of the basic data collection and the waste SDG monitoring, the most important thing is that we have launched the waste-wise cities to monitoring methodology of SDG 11.6.1. So what is this SDG indicator 11.6.1? So this indicator is basically measuring the proportion of municipal solid waste collected and managed in control facilities out of total municipal solid waste generated by the city, basically measuring the proportion of the municipal solid waste properly managed in your city. And this is the monitoring methodology, so it gives you step by step how to really measure those this indicator, and it will help cities to assess municipal solid waste generated, collected, and treated in control facilities according to the consistent standardized methodologies. And it also helps cities identify the municipal solid waste recovery chain and its actors while engaging them in an inclusive and participatory way. Of course, it can help you to check the environmental control level of waste management facilities, establish better waste and resource management strategies, and importantly, provide data for large waste management infrastructure investment cases to municipal corporation. And then finally, develop projects and then mobilize funds. So I would like to give you a little bit of the example from Nairobi. As you can see, the Nairobi basically, we applied this tool in 2019, and then total municipal solid waste generated in Nairobi is about 3,000. About 65% of which is collected, but about 1,500 tons, half of it is going to disposal facilities, which is not controlled facilities, of course. However, the recovery facilities are more or less controlled facilities. So 452 tons are managed in control facilities, which is 15%. And in all of them, all of the different data from here and there was put into another tool called waste flow diagram. And this gives you a plastic leakage into the water system. And then we calculated it's about 4 kg per person per year of plastic is leaking into the water systems in Nairobi. To really discuss, there's lots of things to do. And first of all, you want to really increase the waste collection service. Disposal facilities control levels should be increased and so on. So we organized also this local stakeholders workshop to discuss policy and infrastructure gaps with local stakeholders in the waste chain, including recycling companies, recycle associations, waste pickers associations, and of course the Nairobi County government, waste collection companies, and so on, to really what should be done to improve this solid waste management status. And then we developed as a result of discussion a future waste flow Nairobi, laying out the policy introductions such as source separation, what kind of facilities are needed for organic and recyclables, and those are incorporated into Nairobi City County solid waste sustainable waste management action plan. And we would like to really use this ACCP as a vehicle to really implement this basic data collection and action planning. So the past 3 years, we have scaling up this waste-wise cities tool application, basically the SDG 11.6.1 baselining study. And then the cities that have been benefited from this is you can see all the lists, 17 cities from Africa, and we would like to expand this more. And then also you can see the data. This is a kind of the result of the data. You can see the key waste data from here and there can be obtained, and then you can see the data from this website as well. And using those data, we also did the global modeling of the SDG indicator 11.6.1, and then you can see these are the Sub-Saharan Africa, and then Western Asia, and then Northern Africa. Basically, you can see that the waste collection coverage in Sub-Saharan Africa is about 54%, and then managed and control facilities about 19%, the lowest in the world. And in Northern Africa, we still having a challenge in the waste collection rate, still like 15% to go, and then controlled management is 52%. So these are the regional tendency that we have found so far. And in terms of improving waste collection and transportation system, so many projects started being developed in different cities, leveraged by this SDG 11.6.1 baselining. For example, in Nairobi, where I show that the waste collection rate is about 65%. The project to establish a waste sorting and transfer station in the Korogocho slum is now being discussed with Italian Agency for Development Cooperation. It's now proposal currently being reviewed. Mombasa is one of the great example. We did this survey in 2019, and the waste collection rate was 56%. The project for a material recovery facility construction and capacity development, supported by Coca-Cola Foundation WWF, was mobilized. Feasibility study on rehabilitation of final disposal facilities and MRF construction is now being supported by the European Investment Bank. And in Sus, where we applied this SDG 11.6.1 baselining in last year, waste collection rate is very high. However, that the support for the informal waste pickers, informal waste sector was really lacking. So we developed the project for PPE distribution to waste pickers and equipment provision supported by Embassy of Japan in Tunisia. Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, we found that the waste collection rate is about 36%. And then currently, the project to improve waste collection and transport system and capacity development supported by a funding program on marine plastic debris by Ministry of Environment Germany is submitted. The proposal is now submitted and currently reviewed. So we really can see that the waste-wise cities to the SDG 11.6.1 is a powerful tool to really catalyze the actions on the ground. In terms of enhancing safety at the landfill sites, we did the UN Habitat established the 5 hand washing stations installed in the Dandora dump site, and then we also distributed the PPEs for the waste picker groups as a COVID-19 risk mitigation. JICA has been now working on the feasibility on the landfill site in Kiambu County in Kenya to upgrade this so that we can use this as one of the local technical training center. And then the Ministry of Environment in Japan also supported the Maputo city in Mozambique for the rehabilitation of Hulene dump site, which experienced a collapse of the dump, which killed more than 10 people in there. So those are the activities that was taking place on the ground for the past 3 years in terms of safety at the landfill sites. In terms of promoting, promoting 3R and then proper waste management, knowledge and good practice sharing through the strength linkage to the waste-wise cities was done. As I mentioned, the Africa Waste webinar series is organized, and the online knowledge sharing initiative on collaboration with the waste-wise cities, including waste Wise Learning Hub and a Waste Technology Deep Dive webinar series is done. As I mentioned, so this one, or this like link will be, and the presentation will be shared later. And then you can have a look at this and then learn some activities happening in there. And in terms of encouraging awareness-raising activities, we are deepening the promotion of World Cleanup Day. This year, it's going to be happening on 17th September. And then we are working together with an organization called Let's Do It World. They have a Let's Do It World champions all over the world. So, and then we're going to have a presentation from her about this World Cleanup Day for maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. No, day after tomorrow. No. I think, yeah. So let's keep an eye on it. And then we also did the development project for improved solid waste management collection and transportation system based on the SDG 1161 survey results in Addis Ababa. Currently, we are partnering with Alliance to End Plastic Waste, which is also one of the recent and one of the biggest donor for the solid waste management NGO, and then we are organizing awareness raising project. And then we are also working on a development of awareness raising toolkit for improving willingness to pay for the waste collection services too. And then in terms of 11, creating impacts on the ground, we kind of started developing this project development mechanism involving waste-wise cities too, SDG 11.6.1 monitoring methodology, and then ACCP associate members, which I mentioned as a donor group for who are interested in developing and co-development of the projects in solid waste management. So as you can see, all the things start with the waste-wise cities tool application, really finding out how much of the waste is generated, collected, managed in control facilities, who are in the recycling sector, and who wants clean material from the recycling sector, what's the level of the control of your disposal facilities, how we can really introduce the control management in the disposal facilities. All those things will start from here. Once you get this data from the waste-wise cities tool, then data analytics can be done for the identification of priority area of interventions based on the evidence-based decision making. So, for example, this is a picture from Mombasa, and then this is the future waste flow in Mombasa. In Mombasa, basically, we also going to have a presentation from Mombasa for the coming week. The person who's in charge of solid waste management in Mombasa, he was thinking that the waste generation in Mombasa was about 2,000 tons. So therefore, they needed the waste to energy plant. However, what we found out is about 700 tons per day. So the strategy is very different. So then, like, based on this future waste flow in Mombasa, he started talking with different donors and then mobilized some funding to really fortify this future waste flow. So that's what we would like to really do in the waste ACCP as an ACCP activities. So we're going to have regular meetings with the donor communities from 2 to 3 times a year, so that we can showcase that the different cities situations, so that we can also go forward at the co-development of the projects and impacts on the ground. So this is kind of a summary of what we have witnessing so far in terms of a membership of ACCP, and this is something that food for thought and a reflection towards the future actions under ACCP. So the blue one is a number of country members. The orange one is number of city members. Gray is the number of cities which done the SDG 11.6.1 survey. And then the yellow one is project developed, cities who's got a project developed. So this is in 2017, and then this is now. As you can see, the number of membership is really increasing. And then this is when the secretariat function was transferred to the UN Habitat. We launched the SDG 11.6.1 monitoring methodology, Westwise Cities 2, in 2021. And then we applied this the tool quite a lot. And then like the number of the cities who is started developing the project is also increasing. So what we would like to do is to achieve the waste SDGs in Africa by 2030. For that, we would like to accelerate our efforts in the waste project identification and project development based on SDG 11.6.1 monitoring. And then also we envisage the role as a coordination body of a waste management project in donor relations in Africa. And then we are going to be catalyst for the continuous capacity development for pushing this agenda forward. So this year we would like to support again the different cities for the SDG 11.6.1 or Wastewise Cities 2 application. If you go to the UN Habitat Africa Cities Third Assembly website, going down, then you can find this link, DIY SDG 11.6.1 baseline, using WACT with the technical support from UN Habitat. So we are going to send our colleagues sitting here to your cities. Once your city is selected, we would like to select 3 cities this year. So please submit your proposals. Who's interested in this baselining survey? We will send the experts to your city so that we can do the WACT Wastewise Cities 2 application together. Also, there's a link here for the World Cleanup Day with Let's Do It World. Please go to this link, then you can find how to join this World Cleanup Day with Let's Do It World Foundation. So here I would like to finish my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, thank you. Cecilia, I will bring your microphone back to you.
Okay, thank you so much now for that overview, and I think it is actually fabulous to see that there are many more cities and countries that have signed up for the platform, that you've managed to set up the governance structure and also the knowledge hub and different training modules, so providing trainings, the newsletter, the webinar series, and then the Wastewise Academy. So it's a great resource actually seeing that. There was also a comment actually here from Amir in Egypt, who is saying that also the Wastewise Cities tool has been translated into Arabic. So that's also a wonderful resource going forward in North Africa specifically, but he was also actually proposing that maybe there could be a specific focus going forward to COP27 in highlighting then the Wastewise Cities tool in and that it has actually had an with the translation of the tool, it is now also being applied in an additional 10 cities in Egypt. So thank you very much for that. And with I think we can have a few minutes of questions or clarifications that you'd like to have from now on the progress of the past year or so. So I open the floor if there are any questions or comments that you'd like to raise. Let me see if I can also keep track of if anybody raises their hand. If you would like to contribute, please raise your hand. No questions? Ah, yes, I do see. There is a question from Yannick Blanchard. Yapi? You're welcome to unmute yourself. Is it possible? Yannick Blanchard? I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. Yannick, are you speaking? I think, Yannick, there is a problem. So maybe I can just move on to Ungwa El Karawi from Egypt. The floor is yours as Yannick actually manages to get his microphone to work.
Thank you so much for inviting us. I am Nagwa Al-Qarawi with Ministry of Environment. I am the Senior Advisor to Her Excellency for Waste Management, and I'm actually a focal point for an initiative called 50 by 2050. It's from Egypt to Africa for a global impact, which will be announced in COP27. I'm very happy to see that Amr mentioned that this initiative and all the activities which was mentioned, I appreciate very much the overview which was done by the Assembly. And I would like to be able, if it's possible, that we can work together on this initiative forum, which is going to be announced by Egypt. It would be great if we'll be able to join hands, because that's the point. It's a 28 years initiative. So I can see that how we can align all our activities together for the benefit of treating 50% of waste by 2050. I find all these tools is amazing and wonderful in order to be work together. And I think that's the point, to work together in achieving all the best for Africa. So treating 50% of Africa waste by 2050, I think it will be, it wouldn't happen unless we work together in this. And I see all these wonderful tools which has been provided. I think this is going to help everybody. It's not just going to help one initiative. So I would like to join hand, and if I propose if we can be able to do something in COP27 together, or even before that. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for that invitation. And I do think that it's only if we join hands that we can actually have an impact both in Africa and then also globally. So thank you very much for that. I will leave it to now to actually respond to your question of how to maybe join forces on that. But I think it's really important to be able to see that such an initiative is going to be launched at COP27, and hope that that will also ensure that we can actually carry along all the ACCP membership going forward within that initiative, and make sure that there's investment in solid waste management over the 20-year period to ensure that we make a difference. So thank you for that. I will take another question, maybe from, I think it says JICA office in South Sudan. So that's a title that I have. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. On behalf of JICA office in South Sudan, and on my own behalf, and on the behalf of the leadership of Municipal Council of Juba from South Sudan, I would like to greet everyone at this particular third assembly of ACCP. Secondly, I'm also very delighted to hear all the presentations regarding the waste management system. And then also, the last presentation, I also very much appreciate it. So in South Sudan, indeed, as you know, we have been struggling with ourselves during the past two conflicts. We were not able to maintain the standard of solid waste management in the world. This particular year, 2022-2023, we are going to work together with JICA office, and then also the support they are going to donate through grant aid to the Republic of South Sudan, so that the capital city of Juba will look very much clean like other cities. Indeed, we are going to work together and then also cooperate with all the partners, as we have said, UNEP, and then UN Habitat Nairobi, and other partners in maybe Yokohama, and then also JICA head office in Tokyo. So in summary, we will continue to cooperate, and then we will continue to work together so that we see to it that we really, you are all of you, you are pulling us up so that to remain at a low level in terms of waste collection, we need your support so that you can strengthen us, and then we will continue to strengthen one another in the other states within the Republic of South Sudan. So God bless you so much.
And thank you so much for that. And I think this is exactly what the platform is for, is to be able to support you in actually getting, being able to increase your solid waste management, you know, be able to access some of those tools and resources that you can actually adapt to the Juba, the local context. And I think you have actually a whole network of experts that can help you to define a sort of a strategy of how to do that. So thank you very much for raising that. And I don't know if we have Yannick is able to speak again. Yannick, are you still having trouble with your microphone? I think so. I think Yannick is still having trouble with the microphone. So I'd like to hand over to Amir Lashin from
Cecilia, sorry.
Yes.
So I saw that the one message in chat from Yannick. I think it's a question about, I'd like to know to what extent does this opportunity benefit my city here in Côte d'Ivoire? Yes, I really would like to encourage you to apply for this expression of interest so that we can support you in the Waste-Wise City Still application and also the action planning. We already stand ready to support your city to apply this Waste-Wise Cities to. I just share the link of the EOI. So please look into this and then submit the proposal so that we can support you nicely. And then in terms of the question for Francis, of course, that we've been working with Francis together in Bukavu City, where we found out the waste collection rate is 7%. And I would like to also mention that the post-WACT project development support is very important. So that's why we set up this mechanism called the ACCP associate members. So we would like to submit and then share some, like, try to secure the presentation for you to interact with the donor communities under the ACCP associate members. Sorry, Cecilia, for interruption, but maybe you can go ahead for.
No, thanks a lot now. And I think you also answered the question as well in the chat from.
Can I say this is Amr.
Yes, Amr, you're welcome.
Okay,
please.
So thank you, of course, for giving me the time here and the to invite us to this wonderful event. I just want to comment on a question which is what's actually addressed to now by Francis. If I'm pronouncing the name correctly, it was my question is what is the responsibility of ACCP Secretariat in terms of assisting a city where WACT survey has been done and major challenges have been identified. I just want to respond here. I know it was addressed to now, but just to tell you what we have done in Alexandria and Egypt, because what we have done is actually with the support of Now and her team, we have been able to take the tool and start to really analyze it to see is it really fits for the Egyptian context or not. And this was very important point in the beginning of the implementation of the Waste-Wise City tool to see what changes we need to do either in the context or any of the enabling or disabling environment factors, or if there is something in the steps we need to maybe rethink or whatever. Then we have been, after that, we have been able to actually gain the political will and political support from the national level and the sub-national level, because we introduced the Waste-Wise City tool, not only as it's going to help the city of Alexandria, but also that is going to help, number one, in the localization and the tracking of the localization of the SDGs. Number two, to solve the challenges or the problems that the Egyptian government is facing with regards to the national solid waste strategy, because we have a national solid waste strategy on the national level, and to have it broken down or zooming down to the local level to be implemented, this was a little bit of a challenge. And then this tool, Wastewise City tool, actually enabled them, the government, to really realize how they can do this proper implementation. And we have actually invested some time, considerable amount of time, in building the capacities of the local administration in the city, Alexandria City, so that they were the ones, we spent some time with them to really explain the tool, data gathering, data analysis, how it's going to be happening, how it's going to be done. And then we accompanying it in a shadowing process by which the consultant and the team here in UN Habitat, we were together working with them, but we left them to really do the job, and we just provide the required support and assistance. Now we are where we are right now is that the tool has been started to really started to be institutionalized in the city administration. As I said, it's going to be replicated in other 10 cities. And even in the replication, we, together with the Minister of Local Development, His Excellency, we told them we really need to invest in the experience that has been gained in Alexandria City, i.e. that the Alexandria City staff are going to be the ones who are going to work with us in the replication. So the support which is coming from the HQ level from ACCP is important, but I think the most important is what you is going to do in the country level and the city level to ensure that this tool is not only one time where it's going to be implemented and that's it, but you need to find ways and entry points for the proper implementation, institutionalization, sustainability, and replication. Over.
Thank you so much, Amra, because I think it really gives a very good flavor of how the WAC tool actually has such an impact, actually, both on the city level, but then now is also the uptake then and the replication to other cities going forward, and how, you know, the important thing is actually how that tool can actually give guidance as to what are the key priorities to and also actually where does the investment need to be made from the local government level, but also from private sector, to be able to ensure that you have a solid waste management system that is functioning well. I see there are also some questions in the chat, but I would like to open the floor to Maria Purificação. I think, I hope I pronounced it right. You're welcome. I think you have your hand up.
Thank you, Maria da Purificação, interacting from Angola. First, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. Actually, the interaction started a few years ago. We are joining to our ends to gather more experiences from other countries and enhance our efforts to achieve a better results regarding waste management at country level. We will do whatever we can to be part of the upcoming survey, so we hope we can get it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think, just like you're saying as well, it's so important that sort of learning from other cities and in applying the tool, but also actually learning from some of those practices are really important.
Yes, sorry, I just say in Portuguese. From what we are learning on the reports of the UN Habitat, there is a lot that are being done in other countries in African region, not only European countries. So we are here to gather more experience during this assembly and do whatever we can to be part of the upcoming survey. So I think that with more experience, we can achieve better results. We are doing a lot at country level, but we need more, and learning from other countries' experience, mostly from African countries' experience, who are achieving good results on waste management is good for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. And you're so right. I think, you know, having African cities to exchange and to learn from other African cities that are successful in their application is really important. There's some questions in the chat as well that I just wanted to highlight from Sukna Busu, who's also asking a question about how to upscale, because UN Habitat has actually been supporting the city of Dakar with the WAC tool, but how do you actually then go to the next step in applying that? There's also a question from Kule Yusia in Uganda, who says, how can spatial professional planning networks also be able to support the ACCP, like for example in the case of Kampala City, in addressing the waste management challenge? So that's a question then to the Secretariat to take forward. There's also a question around from Behailu Mulugeta in, I think it's Addis Ababa, also saying that they're facing a lot of challenges with regards to solid waste in the city, and they need the support of the waste-wise cities to be able to come to terms with that. And I think I don't see any other questions, but maybe now if you'd like to respond to some of those queries.
Sure, I think the importance of the linkage, strengthened linkage with the urban planning is actually very, very important. And then in terms of, because there's so many cities really suffering from finding a land for the disposal facilities or any other waste management facilities set up. So here in UN Habitat, we've been working together with lots of colleagues from urban planning. So maybe for Kampala, I think there's a climate cities challenge and so on is still going on. And we are actually collaborating with the team from the climate cities challenge. And one of them is incorporating a solid waste management component in there. So we are very much looking forward to working on this. And then I'm aware in Kampala that the GGGI, Green Growth Institute from South Korea, is working in solid waste management. And so we are and then I think that Kampala has already applied the waste cities too. So we can also collaborate and then coordinate with the partners that we know, so that we can also really push it and then strengthen the linkage between urban planning and waste management. I think that's a very important point. Thank you very much for mentioning that. And then I think that the Behalinu's, Mr. Behalinu's questions, I think, yes. I think maybe he's from Addis Ababa, I'm not so sure. Addis Ababa, we also apply the waste cities too. And then the next step is the identification of interventions and then a policy and the infrastructure intervention. However, we found out that the Addis Ababa's waste collection rate is relatively high, very high. I'm very impressed by the high achievement so far. It's been done by Addis Ababa, and also that the very strong recycling sector is there. So we can really start discussing what we can really do as a next step, and then we can bring some ideas to the ACCP associate members. That's the next step that I would like to say.
Now, also waste-wise cities tool was applied in Bahir Dar
and then Hawassa.
And Hawassa
too,
yeah.
So,
but I think in stakeholders workshop was organized after the WACT application, so we have the reports.
Oh, you have the reports. So then the next step is to bring that report to ACCP as associate members, that donor community, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Mr. Behailu is actually from Harar City in Ethiopia.
Harar City?
So it's a different city.
Is Ethiopia?
Ethiopia.
Okay, it's a World Heritage as well. It's UNESCO World Heritage.
Nice. So in that case, I also put it in a chat here on the chat. So please, if you haven't really done the waste cities to SDG 1161 rapid assessment, please submit your expression of interest for the link that I shared, so that we can start finding a way to support you.
Excellent. So thank you very much for that. I don't really see any more queries at the moment. So maybe, if you have any more questions or queries, then you can always just put it in the chat. But I'd like to move to the next the next session, which is about the Tunis action guidance. And the idea is to have an action guidance coming out of this assembly. And I think many of you have already been contributing to like a first draft, but I'd like to hand over to now to actually take us through the first draft, which of course we will have a final as we come to the last day of the assembly. So now I hand back to you to take us through the Tunis action guidance.
Hi, Cecilia, thank you very much again. So now I would like to share my screen.
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. So just mentioned by Cecilia, so Tunis Action Guidance as an outcome document of ACCP Assembly this time is something that is building on the outcome documents adopted in the past ACCP general meetings. However, the importance of this document cannot be emphasized enough, because this can really dictate the future actions implemented by ACCP Secretariat or UN Habitat support for ACCP member countries and cities. So the draft out this, the giving your feedback to us is very important for us to really understand what kind of support you really needed from the city and the country level. And then draft outcome document and its feedback form was actually shared from 24th June to 8th of July. And then we have received feedbacks from ACCP member countries and cities. And we somehow try to reflect those feedbacks into the most updated Tunisia action guidance. And then final day of third ACCP Assembly, as already mentioned by the Cecilia, we will have a closed session to incorporate the final comments from ACCP members. The Assembly will end with adoption of an outcome document, and then the link for this specific closed session, 1 hour in the morning, will be first 1 hour of the morning of the Friday will be shared accordingly to the ACCP members and countries. So before going into the final one, I would like to mention some of the feedbacks that we have received. So first one was a consideration of fostering collaboration with scientific communities and the member cities, and including and expanding the scope of wastewater, and then and so on. And most of the feedbacks are kind of covered by the oldest Yokohama action guidance here. So the relevant sentences are highlighted and underlined here. However, the expanding the ACCP scope for the wastewater is something that really have to go through a lot of consideration, because it actually can increase the amount of the work. And then also the ACCP was established for the support of the solid waste management. So at the moment, we would not we are not really keen to expand the scope to the wastewater. That's one action, one feedback from us. And then also we got the feedback related to the cross-sectoral issues and elaborate more SDGs. So the some poverty eradication and the creation of green jobs is very, very important issues in the context of the continent of Africa. Energy, the promoting the renewable energies, water and sanitation, the scope of this one is scope of ACCP. We would like to retain it to the solid waste management, sustainable tourism, cities and human settlements, and then health and population protection, population against the risk of diseases. So most of those things are incorporated in the one of the paragraph paragraph 5 of the Tunis Action Guidance. We added the one word green here because I think the reiteration of a green job creation through the solid waste management and recycling is quite an important thing. However, other issues are kind of incorporated already in the Tunis Action Guidance. Paragraph 5, mentioning about the clean and resilient cities, reducing and preventing risk to human health, environment hazards, and so on. So this is kind of, we added one word green. And then we also, as mentioned before in this session, that linkages with the local conditions and pandemic and disaster management and so on. We wanted to incorporate those activities here again in paragraph 5, especially in the linkage with the urban planning. Here, the strengthening a linkage between urban planning and waste management, we reiterated in here. And then also the pandemic and the disaster management. Disaster management is kind of mentioned and covered by this resilient city and a sustainable urban development mentioned here in the, again, the Tunisia Action Guidance on paragraph 5. And then the third of this one, especially for the COVID-19 management, I think that African cities are really faced that lots of challenges in terms of managing the healthcare waste after the pandemic. So we try to also incorporate that aspect in the action point 3 here, healthcare waste. And also here again that we got feedback about the consideration of urban development planning, especially to cover and support the aspect of identification of land for solid waste management infrastructures. And then also migrate from open dumping of waste control facilities. And financial support was also mentioned that we need more financial support, and then we would like to accelerate this process through the ACCP associate members, involvement of ACCP associate members. And then those are already mentioned in our Yokohama Action Guidance here. And in the consideration of use technology, actually, this is a very good point, because during the Yokohama Action Guidance adopted, during the time that we had a Yokohama Action Guidance adopted, we didn't really have, we kind of discovered the use of new technologies to get in touch with the different parts of the world through this technologies and applications for the knowledge sharing and so on. So we also try to incorporate that word here. So so as you can see here, not this one, sorry. Here, African Clean Cities platforms. Again, this ACCP assembly website. If you scroll down, and then you can look at this, the most updated outcome document here. So it'd be great if you could go through this. So maybe let me go through this one by one. So the ACCP Third Assembly Outcome Document or Tunis Action Guidance, the Ministry of Environment of Japan, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, City of Yokohama, United Nations Environment Program, United Nations Human Settlements Program, and a member cities, countries and cities of African Clean Cities Platform, as well as any actor supporting the objective of the ACCP on the occasion of Third ACCP Assembly, held virtually from 25th, 29th of July 2022, with the support of Municipality of Tunis and the Government of Tunisia as a host of TICAD 8. Building on a Maputo Declaration adopted at the preparatory meeting for the establishment of ACCP April 2017, the Rabat Declaration in First ACCP Assembly, and the Yokohama Action Guidance adopted in the Second ACCP General Meeting, recognizing once again the urgent need to realize proper solid waste management in line with the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly from the perspective of environmental protection, efficient use of natural resources, and importance of public health, as waste generation is expected to increase Africa due to the rapid urbanization and economic growth in the region, and reminded by the unprecedented COVID-19 crisis. Noting that the proper sustainable waste management contributes to the creation of clean and resilient cities by reducing and preventing risks to human health and the environment, strengthening the linkages between urban planning and the waste management, and promoting sustainable urban development through innovation and green job creation, improving resource efficiency, shifting towards circular economy, increasing the investment of Africa, and expanding sustainable tourism, valuing the work of the ACCP to date and emphasizing the importance of further strengthening ACCP activities. Now agree and declare that, recognizing the wide-ranging circumstances and challenges on waste management that each organization faces, in accordance with the capacities of each organization, the following actions will be promoted towards TICAD 9 for the coming 3 years. First one, continue to further promote the 11 items of Yokohama Action Guidance and utilizing innovative technologies and application for transparent and effective knowledge sharing. Second, promote the transition of open dumping to sanitary controlled landfill, in particular fostering adopting low carbon waste management technologies such as Fukuoka method, and strengthening a capacity development in context of global transition towards decarbonized society and climate change, as main source of greenhouse gas emission in the sector is methane emission from open dumping of the organic waste. And then third, promote sharing knowledge, experience and good practices on reduction, sound management and recovery of plastic waste, healthcare waste and e-waste towards the realization of 3R and control management based on the Yokohama Action Guidance, recognizing the negative impacts created by plastic waste globally and challenges imposed by the increased generation of healthcare waste and e-waste in Africa. So we would like to adopt this on the last day of the ACCP Assembly. So please feel free to look at it, think about it, thinking it, and then share your thoughts to us so that we can incorporate and then reflect your voices into this important document. Thank you very much for me. That's it from me, Cecilia. Thank you.
Thank you so much now. And just also maybe to open the floor in case there are any questions with regards to the process, or if there are any questions with regards to the Tunis guidance note, something that you'd like to raise at this point, then very happy if you would like to raise your hand, or if you'd like to slot your question into the chat, whichever works for you best.
Yeah.
I don't see any hands, and I don't see anything in the chat. So I think there was a lot of clarity on that now. So please do take the opportunity to read through on the website as now actually highlighted. A link will be shared with everybody, because as we leave on the 5th day on Friday, it would be good to have a final guidance, Tunis guidance. Yes, now has just shared the link and the outcome document from the Assembly, which is important then to take forward. I think maybe just to highlight that it is not only important as sort of an outcome of the Assembly, but I think it's also some key messages going forward to COP27. I'd also like to highlight that we have our UN Habitat Assembly, which is taking place mid next year in 2023. So there is also an opportunity to actually feed some of those key messages from the Assembly taking place this week into the UN Habitat Assembly going forward. So maybe just to keep that in mind as you are looking at the outcome document. Excellent. Oh, I see Adel Shafai Othman. I think I see your hand is up. Would you like to contribute?
Yes. much what I would like to
I think there's a bit of an echo, so maybe if others in the room can close their microphones, so just Adel is being heard.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yes, perfect. We can hear you now, Adel. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm so sorry. We stay in one room with my colleagues. So thank you very much for the last presentation concerning the three issues I would like to highlight it concerning the cross-sectorial issues. I would like to emphasize the importance of the issue of sustainable consumption and production. And particularly our partner here, the UNEP, have a very interesting regime concerning the sustainable production and consumption. In mega cities in Africa, like many mega cities in Africa, heavy populated cities and heavy industrial cities also are really stressing this in their policies, and the flow of the waste and the rapid urbanization in that regard is really needed to linkage with the UNEP plan and strategies concerning that kind of element. The second issue is I am really wondering about the applicability of the in countries in Africa expand, which is risky the environmental legal of the waste management regulatory authority in Egypt, and we have now the legal framework to work in that, and we are in a stage of preparing some technical guidance concerning that. We really love to share that with African partners, but I'm wondering how we can benefit from the giant experience in any other even Japan also, how that can applicable in societies like the cities in Africa, which is really also very important in that frame. The last point is the consideration of financial support. The mobilization of finance is really for the African cities. We have many developing partners. Also, we have to make sources via Habitat and the UNEP as well. JICA is really very keen to provide grant aid. We are a country receiving a grant aid program by frequent from the Japanese government, which is we try to maximize that use in the process of the cities in the country. And as mentioned by my colleague Nagwa and by Excellency the Minister of Locality in Egypt, I think, and I heard to Mr. Amr also from that in Egypt, that process could be in of the next World Urban Forum in 2024, which welcomed by Egypt. Thank you very much. This is my reaction so far, and if any, I will of course interpret. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, and I think it's actually really important, like you're saying, to sort of take into consideration sustainable production and consumption. So please do feel free to add into the actual outcome document some of your thoughts around that, Adel. I think that would be really very important. When you're talking about sort of legal frameworks and technical guidance, absolutely, I think the ACCP platform is really this opportunity to be able to learn and to share experiences. So we would very much welcome your sharing of the guidance tool and any other documents that you think would be really relevant for other cities in Africa. And I think you really sort of nailed it with your final comment. You know, one of the most important issues is actually the financial support to be able to take forward some of those strategies and policies with regards to solid waste management. And I think that was one of the things, and maybe now can correct me if I'm wrong, but I understood that also with the application of the WAC tool, it became more evident, you know, where finances needed to actually be put to ensure that you had a good solid waste management plan for the city. So, you know, I think it's only when you know what you have that you're able to also say what you need with regards to the finances, but it is absolutely critical. And I think that was also alluded upon earlier about the importance of bringing sort of private sector development partners. Also, actually, many of the municipalities can look at their own source revenues as well as being a way of contributing to solid waste management. I think it's actually bringing all those different elements together to be able to contribute to ensuring that solid waste management in the city is sustainable and green. I don't see any additional hands held.
Cecilia?
Yes.
I saw a question from Comoros.
Oh, please go ahead.
National Agency of the National Waste Management Agency in Comoros. Mr. Usofa.
Yes.
Mr. or Miss, I don't know. Apology, I cannot really speak French, so I would like to respond to this question. I think that now I heard that now Comoros has a new institution created in August 2024, responsible for the national waste management, and then this is a national agency. And I'm just wondering, so if you have priority cities, for example, and then if you could also submit the EOI, expression of interest, to the post that I shared before, and then if you could organize with the organizer and submit the proposal to the expression of opening of the expression of interest, coordinating with the city that you'd like to apply and then the priority city that you would like to create some impacts, then we can also look into the proposal and then provide a support for the action planning. So that's one thing that maybe I can tell for this question. I hope I answered this question.
No, thank you very much now for picking up on that, and I think you did. I think there's also an opportunity to continue to reach out directly to now and the team to be able to sort of have all the documents shared that would be required to take a decision on how to take that forward. So thank you very much for that now. If there are no more sort of comments or inputs or questions coming from everybody that is online, then maybe we can move to a quick wrap up and close for the day. And I think we really got some guidance today from the high-level speakers, specifically around the importance of having that integrated approach, being able to ensure that we have that platform for exchange and learning, to ensure that cities can have a place where they can go to actually access all those different resources that are required to promote then sustainable solid waste management in the cities, There was a very clear link as well between solid waste management and climate change that we can take forward in this year of COP27. There was also some highlights around the importance of building on solutions that have been implemented in other cities. So that city-to-city learning, peer-to-peer learning is absolutely critical. There was also actually a pitch that we need to also take into consideration the circular economy, and that if we have that integrated approach with regard, then we can really make a huge difference. There's also, building on some of those experiences and city-to-city implementation of the solid waste management plans and the application of the WAC, the WAC tool is also actually providing an opportunity for scaling up. We're seeing that more and more cities are actually coming on board and adopting the tools and the approaches. And so there is really that opportunity now to sort of scale up implementation in African cities. It was also some of the highlights that came up was that, it's also about bringing all the different partners together around the table. It's also about the different levels of government. It's about national government and local government coming together. It's about empowering and creating those economic opportunities as well, and seeing waste as a resource specifically. I think our executive director also actually made a pitch for maybe it's time for rethinking a little bit as well. So how can we actually rethink some of those approaches and ways in which African cities have been collecting the solid waste, and maybe think differently of how we can reduce, reuse and recycle. And maybe there's an opportunity of also setting up a prize for the cleanest city in Africa going forward. I think also
Cecilia?
that, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Maybe after you're done, it would be nice to everybody turn on a camera so that we can take some nice picture.
Absolutely, we will do that. And then maybe with that, it seems as if we can now move to the next segment, which is taking a picture. But I do think that there's the opportunity now is really make sure that some of those key messages are really included into the outcome document to be able to take that forward, both for the platform, for the ACCP, but also actually some key messages that can be taken forward to COP27, to UN Habitat Assembly, and so forth. So with that, maybe I will allow now and the team to direct us with regards to the photographs, so we can actually document this opening session of the ACCP Assembly. So I hope everybody can turn on their cameras.
Veronica, would you like to do that, or shall we do that, Shiho? I think many of us is taking pictures, so shall I say 3, 2, 1 or something?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I'll say 3, 2, 1, cheese, smile. 5 times, we're going to do 5 times. 3, 2, 1, cheese.
Cheese.
Cheese. Again, everyone, are you turning on your camera?
Many of them. There are 4 pages.
There are 5 pages. So many people joined. 5 pages. So So 3, 2, 1. Cheese. The final one. 3, 2, 1, cheese.
Maybe I will take this.
Thank you.
Great. So thank you everybody for joining today, and we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow as well, as we sort of delve into, you know, different ACCP approaches and common challenges, and more of a sort of an exchange between the different cities. So please join us tomorrow, and thank you very much everybody. Have a lovely afternoon or day or evening, depending on where you are in the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.